Really proud of them. You know, they've saw us through, a difficult time in the beginning of our season, and they've been very resilient. They've been great leaders in the locker room, on the football field. You can't say enough about how many positive things they've brought to us and the foundation they've laid for leadership with all of our players. And I think it'll be something we'll be able to draw on as coaches. What these guys have done for us in this first year. Their leadership was outstanding.
Shawn, can you talk specifically about Malcolm? I mean, he had big goals this year.
Right.
It didn't happen for him for reasons we all know.
Right.
How has he?
Unbelievable. He never, he's always been really positive about everything. I mean, he's, I've mentioned several times how positive he's been. He's been the biggest ally to the offensive line. He's appreciated every moment on the field. He's been an excellent teacher for the younger players at his position. And I think for all of us in the entire football team, he embodies everything you want in a player, in terms of what it means to be a true teammate, to be a true leader on the team. Because I know he had high aspirations and goals, I'm sure, and rightfully so. And he went through the transition with us and always kept a positive attitude, and always kept his play at a high level. And he's begun to benefit from that in these latter games. And as we've talked about before, it can happen to a better person. It's really rewarding for all of us as coaches to see it happen for him.
Shawn, what do you think his future is beyond Texas?
I think Malcolm has got a future because he's a guy who can obviously run the football behind his pads. He's he can make moves in open field. He's a tough runner between the tackles, and he can get outside on edges and hurt a defense too. He's excellent in protection, and he's a great route runner. I think the things you have to be in the NFL, which I believe he'll have a future, have an opportunity beyond here, is you have to be a detailed player. You have to be an assigned player. And really in that league, because everybody can run the ball, it comes down to being a willing soul in protection. First knowing the scheme, and then being a willing soul and taking on linebackers and safeties coming from a distance, which is a tough chore. He'll wire you up in a heartbeat. So he's always assigned. He plays big or plays physical in the protection game, and then he's got great route running ability and excellent hands to go along with it. I mean, we've used him several times in those roles, and he's just he's an all-around player in my opinion.
You feel like, I don't know if gamble's the right word, but by not playing Gerard and you guys are steadfast, we want to redshirt him if we can. Now you finally, that paid off. You got full eligible.
Right.
Is that your feelings on it, or?
No, I mean, you make those decisions as you go through. It all depends on how, what was best for the team. And Charlie and I, we always talk about it each week. We're always on top of what we're doing. It was best for his development in the end. He needed, to be honest with you, he wasn't putting the work out there, yet, because he was still learning. That would warrant him going on the field, and it would make us look like what we say is not what we mean or what we deliver. So he has gotten better as a result of it. He's been able to grow, and his progress, especially in the latter half of the season, has been, he's come along a lot better. He didn't have a spring the other guy, for example, Tyrone did. And that's really kind of where you see him at right now. He's growing into it.
Where did he take that step in the latter half?
Just really honestly, just from getting the reps. It takes time. He has never been a part of a passing game like we have. So that's a major transition. He hasn't been a part of all the different coverages that go on in football and the week-to-week, preparation. I mean, 1 week you see a middle close team, next week you see a quarters team that plays cover 2, you see a team that plays quarters and then has man pressures. Every week it's always evolving, and I think that's a transition. Tyrone has had to go through really fast. He was better prepared for having been around last year, where Gerard doesn't have that benefit. He's just coming out of high school, he's getting his feet on the ground, new system. So he's had to, I think that's would be his growth. I think he's got a better understanding today of what college football is, what what it's going to require to be an elite player. And that's going to be a lot of study and hard work, which he's learned to put in. Initially, and I haven't been around one that hasn't been this way, and they're overwhelmed by the preparation that you have to do. I've been around one guy that got it right away, and that's Teddy Bridgewater. He got it right away, and everybody else had to learn. So he's probably typical of all freshmen. They have to learn that, go through that growing curve.
Coach, is Gerard still in China, or is he a little closer to the U.S. now?
No, he's a lot closer. He's a lot closer. He what he does is he comes in and he and I go over the scripts, before practice, and I'm able to take him through it and better articulate what he's getting ready to get into. It helps him in practice and helps him, but helps me understand what he doesn't understand, and helps me then teach him what he needs to know. And then when we can get the execution on film, then that's positive feedback for him. So it's always you're always evolving with the player. I mean, that's how he learns best, and that's a little teaching strategy we're using. And I think that's part of his growth. Now he's starting to get it. So he'll be really competitive for us in the spring. And the nice thing is we'll have a bowl season. It'll act as a second spring or first spring in this, if you will, this this winter that we can get him through.
Shawn, what goes into devising an opening script for a game? I know some of the guys, John Harris said that you guys work them a lot in practice and you're pretty confident going into the game. But what goes into
a lot of things, presenting ourselves differently than what they've prepared for. There's nothing that they're going to see that they're going to get that we've done. It's presented differently. It's touches, it's targets, who we want to have the ball, and how we want to get them the ball. There too, self-scout. I don't want to ever be the same. I want to get 23 involved in a different way. I want to get touches, make sure that John's involved from several different spots, not just from one spot. One spot is easy to take out. How we get the tailbacks the ball, create touches for them, and then the line scheme. What we're doing blocking wise, we're running at them, we're running tight zones, we're running wide zones, we're running gap schemes, we're running pin pulls, and then how we're countering the field. So there's a lot that goes into it. Usually, I spend about 3 hours on that, going through it.
Shawn, is there a particular day or time that you remember this year when you guys as a staff felt like you'd kind of broken through and that things were going to be okay?
Probably the week of Texas Tech. And that was in, coming after a week of adversity, but, we felt like, I think probably the thing you saw was the resolve of the kids, because they have to be willing students. I mean, they've got to be alert, and they've got to, the want to's got to be there, and you saw that in the players. And, we felt like we knew exactly what type of line we had. We knew what, those guys would do best. We knew what our backs did best. We knew how we could merge those together, and then, we were, knew what gave Tyrone rhythm and gave him a feel for the game. So we started really getting a flow for it, because when we went through all the transition in the beginning of the year, there were so many things that Joe was just trying to do. We're trying to get 5 guys that work consistently together. And then somebody to captain and target the calls, and then growing a quarterback. Those were the 2 biggest issues that we faced this year. So when it really kind of came together for us, would have been that week at Texas Tech.
That's coming right off a pretty awful day at Kansas
City.
Yeah. What are the coaches talking about on the flight back?
You don't really talk at all, to be honest with you. There's no talking going on. You're deep in thought and what you need to do to get it fixed. And we just got a great group of guys who really care about, what we do for our players and how we present ourselves as a program. So a lot of pride involved, and we just keep going, we just keep working. Charlie sets that tone and sets that tempo as a head man. Best, I've been around. I mean, he's just relentless at, getting, he's got a clear picture he wants this program to look like and be, and we're never going to yield what we want. So we keep pushing.
Charlie mentioned that. He said that we felt, we're better coaches than this. The players are better than this. Is it a lot of introspection going on?
Well, what you do is you look at yourself. You look at what your kid, what you got. There's some things in the game that are just so fundamental that you have to do, and some of those things are things that we honestly had to get taught, and they take time to teach, and you just have to keep teaching it. You've heard me say, education major. Coach Eubanks gave me this a long time ago. The teacher will appear when the student is ready. So you got to keep teaching. And there's things that we, like covering after a throw or covering downfield after a run. Ball security. I want to see our backs with the ball in the high and tight, or our receivers, or quarterback. 2 on in a crowd, making decisive decisions on time. Scramble when the quarterback breaks the pocket. Everybody knows how to scramble. There's a specific fundamental scrambling pattern that you've got to execute to get open. Those are the things that you keep working to develop, and it takes time. But once they're in a program, you start taking off, and now those things have come together. The players have a feel for it. So and then that goes along with what we're doing scheme-wise too. How we're getting to this point. It goes back to what we mentioned earlier about what the line did well, what the backs did well, how we merge all these things together.
But Shawn, what does that tell you about your players after a shutout like that they didn't back off or kind of concede the season?
No, they're just too much character. There's way too much character in this program. And we knew that from the very beginning. There was really good people in this program. I'm talking about the players. You always start, what is character? Character is good people. People who, are, have purpose. They have goals. They have dreams, things that they want to accomplish. And we knew that about them. We just knew we had to raise them. We had to teach them, to get out of their comfort zone. Had to make, we had to teach them that it wasn't easy. If you have to earn victories. If victories are things that are not given to you, you have to earn victories. And the difference between winning and losing many times can come down to 5 or 6 plays that really turn a game around. So you've got to be, you got to play. You got to be an all-day fighter. You got to play every down, and those are the lessons that have to be taught. That's the biggest transition I think in taking over any program. Is changing the attitude into a winner's program, a winner's attitude in terms of understanding that you got to earn it, and you got to work at it every day. Practice. I mean, every day of practice counts. Every rep of practice counts. We call it the formula of 1 around here. 1 rep, 1 day, 1 practice, 1 day, et cetera, et cetera.
Shawn, the offense has struggled in the third quarter, pretty much the whole year. But what changed in the third quarter of Oklahoma State when you were able to put together that 8-play drive and get the field goal? What was different about that?
Well, we just, I think a lot of it goes to, honestly, it goes to, development of Ty. You get, whenever he can, make throws and our receivers can do what they did. Offensive line protect, it's bringing all those pieces together because you have to balance your offense. And in order to balance your offense, the throwing game is critical. And we were able to put all the pieces together. We're still, we'd like to take take those drives down. I think the very first one I know we were backed up. We got an area of field we've got to get better at is coming out. Knock it out. Want to change the field and get at least 1 first down. The goal is to get 2. The ultimate goal obviously is to drive it and score. I think we've done that 1 time this year, and a lot of that has to do with raising the team and just what we just talked about, being relentless at making sure that you keep coaching the little details I mentioned before.
So I guess that was my next question. Is it adjustments or just kind of waiting for everything to just
honestly, and I've been around, I was around a Hall of Fame coach and Coach Weeb Eubanks. He's awesome. Unbelievable man. He told me one time, he said, "Son, let me tell you, adjustments are made Monday through Thursday." Okay? It's called preparation. It's called knowing your opponent inside and out. It's called, having a plan for how to expose and, work your opponent. So that would be, having a first half, second half plan. And, some of the things that I've learned from him and, really adjustments. Honestly, there's adjustments that really are found inside the plan. It's already been prepared for, and that's what you got to get to. Sometimes I think everybody thinks that adjustments are things that you just start drawing up on the board. You don't practice things, you don't call things in a game that you don't practice. So that goes back to the big picture. You got to see the big picture at the beginning. Okay, here's what they do, here's what their adjustment is, what is our adjustment to their adjustment. You just play a chess game all week long so you stay ahead and you're never behind. And then we've got to go out and execute better in the third quarter. That's our biggest Achilles heel right now.
Sean, do you ever see one Boykin at all?
Snuck up on me,
Yeah, I
man.
did. I was curious if you see any similarities. Travon wasn't the quarterback he is today, obviously. Do you see any similarities between where Tyrone is?
You know, I can't, you know, I think we talked about this last week a little bit. You know, I didn't see him a year ago because I wasn't in the league. But I understand from the other guys on the staff, it's been an unbelievable transition for him. You know, knowing, you know, kind of what a quarterback, not kind of knowing a quarterback goes through. I would say that they, you know, that it's a similar track that we want Ty to go down. You know, obviously he has had a breakout year for them, and he's a heck of a quarterback. We have exchange film. We see them, seen him all year long, and he's just a playmaker. He makes great plays, and you know, he's got a strong arm, and you know, he has a real feel for the game. He hurts you outside the offense, you know, as much as he hurts you inside the offense because of his ability to create. But I think a lot of that is his, you know, comfort level. Probably a year ago, I don't know this. It might be the big difference that everybody sees. A year ago, he didn't maybe bring those types of plays, but this year he's bringing it. That's probably a lot due to the comfort level he has in what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the process. You know, that's the process.
Do you show Tyrone video of quarterbacks like him?
Yeah, I show him quarterback. You know, I don't during the season, but he obviously gets to see him because he watches so much film. In preparation, so he'll see him. He'll see him as well as others. Obviously, during the off season, I spend a lot of time showing them guys. I break down NFL film, show them NFL guys, college guys, examples of players that are doing it the right way.
Coach John Harris needs 24 yards for 1,000. Jackson Shipley needs 24 catches to finish 1-2 behind his brother on the all-time receptions list here at Texas. Is it important for those guys to get the milestone, and how special are those?
It'd be, John's obviously really close, and it'd be really, considering what we came into when we showed up here. John was thinking about retiring from football, so yeah, he's come a long way. And it'd be really cool to see him get to 1,000 yards because that is a major milestone. I mean, that 1,000 yards receiving, that's a lot of production, and Jackson. I'm sure he's gunning for his brother now. We got to give him a lot of touches between now and the end of the bowl game. But who knows? I mean, it's. I think obviously John's got a real shot at it, and we're going to have to work to help Jackson out. And see if he'll pay me off. We might be able to work that out for him.
Did you notice John during the spring? Or was he like 10th on the depth chart?
He was way back. He was way back yonder. At one time, he was number 3. I mean, working his way to number 1, and. Like we've talked about many times, he had a really big spring for us. And it started in winter conditioning. I mean, his attitude was right in winter conditioning, his work ethic, and he did the things we asked him to do. And number one thing was lose weight. I think he was about 230 when I showed up. He looked like a tight end. In fact, I thought he was an H-back. And told me he was a receiver. And we said, oof, we got to do some weight. We got to do a little management here. But he came a long way for us. I mean, he's had an outstanding year. He's proven that he can play, not only at this level, but have an opportunity beyond here with what he's done this year.
Got time for 2 last ones?
Sean, how much design quarterback runs? How much of that occupies the playbook? And right now, is the run game for Tyrone almost better if it's kind of ad-libbing, and it seems like that's almost where he's had more success.
We've had schemes with him, and we will always have read scheme for him. In every game plan, we do watch what we do with him, just because you spend so much time developing him. I can remember having Taylor Martinez about killing him as a freshman because he was a runner, and we ended up losing him. The 8th game of the year, which was detrimental to our season, and so you got to be smart. If you got 3 of them, and that's what you do. You're okay. You feel good about the other 2. You're okay to run them all the time. I think everybody, though, has now learned that you have to, be careful what you do. You got to run protected runs, and then you got to be smart scheme-wise that way. And then the next thing is, you don't do it as much. You do it only when you need to based on what the defense is doing to you. And that's how we've really run Ty this year.
So is there anything different with TCU's scheme defensively?
Well, I just, I was asked that earlier, and I think you know, the number one thing, I've known Gary for a long time, and you know, he puts together great defenses. I know he's heavily involved that side of the ball. He is a very detail-oriented guy. His players play like it. They know the defense. You see them. They know the defense. They know it inside and out. And you know, he's done obviously a great job of teaching them, and it's a pretty veteran group back there. That, you know, especially in the front, and you know, they play like it. You know, it's everything I would expect, knowing him and knowing what product he wants to put on the field. They're exactly what I expect them to be. Well assigned, pursuit defense. That, you know, they play good defense, man. They make you earn your way down the field. They're going to give you, you know, not give you a lot of pressures, and they're just going to put the pressure on you by playing their quarters coverage, which they're very good at, and then, you know, doing the stuff they do with their big guys up front, who are a very good crew.
Coach, you want to brag on your mom, grandma, or wife, or maybe even yourself on a favorite Thanksgiving meal you cook? Or
I got that. I heard about this coming in. My man Vance and I probably should have got his mom, my grandmother together. My grandmother made oyster dressing, which was off the charts, and it's a little different, but it's a little kind of a family tradition. And my mom, you know, when she had her health, she was making it, and now, you know, I have to really depend on my sister. My wife hasn't. She's like, she thinks I'm from Mars. She's like, what are you talking about, oyster dressing? But it's like a family tradition on my dad's side of the family. Thank God my sister still has the recipe and knows it, because whenever I have time, I'm going to learn how to do that. Learn how to make it, because it's good stuff.
What part of the world does oyster dressing come from?
Southern Illinois. If you know anything about it, it's probably, yeah.